Hey everyone, in this special episode we'll be taking a look at Game of Thrones. We're going to talk about the series finale and our overall thoughts on the show. This is episode 146 of the Reel-ists podcast. I'm Oscar.
I'm Donnie.
And we have our producer here, Ruben, as well. Hello, he says. And welcome to this special episode. We're going to switch a little things up here. Normally we do movie talk, but you know what?
Uh-oh.
There is something that just concluded that
I know where you're going with this.
As just as epic as a movie would be. And that is Game of Thrones.
Dun 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 dun.
At least you're saying it because you know what I would have done. I would have done Pirates.
Not the Pirates game song.
Still can't get it down. 8 episodes. 6. What is it like? How many episodes was it? 7.
What was it like? Somewhere around like
80. I'm trying to total accumulation of episodes. So you had 6 seasons that were complete 10.
So
and then
60.
you had 7.
67.
And then you had 6.
72. 70. No, my math. We all know I'm not good with math. What was the total?
I don't know.
67 plus 6. On. 73. The
whole point is 8 seasons later, and I still don't know how.
73 times you done heard that song.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No. In our defense, we skipped it for like the first 5 seasons.
All right. I guess I'll give you that. That's true. Well, you heard it at least 8 times because we watched the theme song once every season.
Let me try. Just kidding.
Dun, dun, I wanna be. It's like a completely different song.
I just can't get it right. But yes, Game of Thrones is going to be our talk. We're going to do mainly, I would say, a good portion on the finale episode, but overall on the series. So, Ruben, do you watch Game of Thrones? I don't think you do, right? No. So, Ruben's going to give it an automatic no interest pass. Dang. Worst TV show of 2019. Equivalent to his 1 out of 5 stars. But yeah, so Donnie, this is something that we are recently joining. We'll be honest here. We didn't join until this year.
Yeah, we're bandwagoners.
Right.
But I don't care because we were dedicated. We were watching like 10 episodes a day, literally on our off days. We watched 10 hours a day watching. Like I have never binged a show like that before.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead and start it off with what are your thoughts on the finale? Just the finale, not your overall thoughts on the show.
So I think I was afraid. We kept hearing comments about, the cast were speaking out saying, Kit Harington jokingly said that the season finale would be disappointing. But then retracted and said, no, I don't know. I was just kidding. We had some critics saying that, your Grace Randolph girl, she was saying that if she, after reading the spoilers, it seems that we would be disappointed. So I was going into the finale thinking we're going to be disappointed. Like something's bad's going to happen. Right. John's going to die, or all the Starks are going to die. Something, I don't know, whatever.
In the same way that, TV shows have that kind of split, whether it's either a great conclusion
or it's a terrible
conclusion.
It's like
I think we can probably name a good handful, but yes. So I can see where the concern is legit. It's not like people just are trying to bash it because it's ending or something. It was like legit TV show history is not
doesn't have a great record
on finales, but continue.
So but I will say what we got, how it ended, I feel like I wouldn't have ended it just the finale itself, I wouldn't have ended it any other way. Maybe the way things had panned out, I would have done differently. But like ultimately, where every character ended up, I was content with. I don't want to go too in detail because we're going to cover it. But I'll say I was really surprised. I was pleasantly surprised, and I was okay with how it ended, and I felt satisfaction with our main characters and how they concluded. I really felt at peace with it, and it felt good. It felt like it was they all concluded rightfully so.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And we talked about it a little bit after seeing the episode, but I think to us, because we watched it all as a single story, we kind of just saw it as however it's going to go. We didn't really get a chance to sit there and be like,
like theorize.
I understand how this character is here and all the stuff that they've gone through. Let me analyze every scene that I've seen already for the character. We really didn't have much time to go into fan theories to see what would have been the best idea, or who had the best theory. So for us, it was more really just like we're just really watching how it concludes, and I think on that angle, it works. It is satisfying because you get a bow to this story, particularly the characters that are still relevant, and it's almost every character is touched. A few are not, but almost everyone gets at least a place of where they're going to be at the end of the show when it's concluded. You'll know that, that person's going to be here, that person's doing that. So I think that kind of helps as well. I don't think it's my most disappointing series finale ever. I think there's another show that still was just like, what just happened?
I mean, at least it wasn't like a Sopranos ending. Like everybody hated how that
really
concluded. Didn't it just like cut off? Like, did you ever watch or did you hear about how it ended? I remember when that series concluded, like people were outraged. Like, how could they end it like that? Kind of almost like mid thought, sort of, or like mid conversation. So at least that didn't happen.
I will say How I Met Your Mother is another popular one that people were just like, we were wondering how they met the mother,
and they never showed it.
No, they did, but it was like very short, and like then she dies. So like she was in it, and you're just like, oh, okay, so this is how they met her, and then like, and I don't know if 1 or 2 episodes later she's dead. So it was like,
okay.
I guess.
But did we always know she was dead or no?
No.
Okay. I think I remember when that.
It was one of those like it was just very open ended. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So now we know, and it was like people were just like, it's too late now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think that was another one. But so yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that it's in history, finales have not been doing so well concluding, and I think this is not one of those worst case scenarios. Outside of one character that I think people may have personal attachment to, I think that's obviously where that kind of heavy negative criticism is coming really from. Maybe I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but I feel like that's where it's coming from.
I'm talking about Daenerys.
Daenerys Targaryen, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and just to give everyone here, if you're just a movie fan that listens to our podcast and you don't watch TV, just to give you a synopsis, a very, very brief overview of what this show is about. 9 noble families fight for control over the mythical lands of Westeros. I don't even know why I say it like that. Westeros. One more time. While an ancient enemy returns after being dormant for thousands of years. That's how IMDb describes it, and I think that's a fairly good way to just say it in a few words. It's great.
That is a good way, but it's like the ancient enemy wasn't even a part of the season finale. Like we wrapped
part of the final season.
But we wrapped that up in like what, episode 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there was only 6 episodes, so it was like half. But no, yes, absolutely. That was one of those. I mean, obviously, it's a TV show, so there's many story arcs. So that's why when we say that, we don't mean like, and then the last 3 were just boring. But
yeah,
for sure. I feel like this kind of finale felt like a finale, and I say that because when they started transitioning to after. Again, spoilers for people that are listening. Hopefully, you at least don't want to get spoiled. I know there's a few listeners that are still watching this episode, so stop listening now. I'm just saying it's a TV show, so it's a little different than movies. But like when Daenerys died, I feel like at that point, afterwards was very series finale TV-esque.
Yeah,
and how they just like moved. Not even plot points. It was like moved character ending to story arc ending kind of thing.
Well, up until she died, it didn't even feel like the finale. Like I was like, they're taking their sweet ass time.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I was looking at my watch. Like we only have like 40 minutes left. You guys need to start wrapping some things up now because like this has to end well. But they were just like following Tyrion, walking 1,000,000 miles all over, King's Landing. I'm like, come on, like okay, we get it.
They really were just like, maybe we got more seasons. Y'all don't know.
I know. Like, I was like, are they faking us out? Like, is this like, they're saying, calling it this the season finale?
But that could have been that. I think we joked as we were watching that too, where that was going to be the entire episode where he was just walking and then he gets to Daenerys and that's where it ends.
Oh my gosh.
Then I would be like, disappointing is a probably appropriate word for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely had that thing, and I think that's fine. You can't really. It's kind of tough with TV shows because when you have to come up with the finale, you have to give an end to these characters and story that you were following, but at the
and it has to make sense,
right? But
sometimes what the fans want doesn't line up with the vision that the writers had.
Yes,
it's like it's tough. It's not easy to do. I don't think
that's true. And so you have to tie in those ends that of why you watched it from the beginning, but you got to make it also seem like there could be more. And it's not like you leave it open ending with a cliffhanger that's going to be like, what is going on? Like, I need the answers now. But it leaves you, obviously, it can't be where the world ends and everything's destroyed. That's the ending of the show, obviously. So it has
some people wanted that. Some people were like, I would have been happy had like the Night King killed everyone and that was the ending. Some people would have been content with that. It's like, would you really have been content with that? Because I sure as hell wouldn't have been.
Because if you were complaining about everything that's happened, then you would have still complained about that.
Because then it would have been like, well, then why did we just invest 8 years? Well, we didn't. Maybe 8 days. But like, why did you invest all this time if it was just gonna have such a tragic, dire ending where everybody dies? So yeah. I don't think that would have been smart.
And I will say maybe the way, because the first 5-6 seasons, the creators of the show had the books to go off of by George R.R. Martin. Mm-hmm. So that helped. That was like a guideline as to how your story is going to go. They don't need to worry about like, oh, we need to really, find out how this character is going to be relevant again later or something. It was laid out up until the point where they caught up, and then they had to kind of go off of what his idea or his arc was going for and then make it their own. And so I can see where this season lost that footing because they didn't have that secure platform to say, oh, I know exactly where this is going. And they kind of had to go on the run, and they're not the creators of this universe. That's George R.R. Martin. So of course it's kind of tough to say, oh, I can finish this off. Mm-hmm. So I feel like maybe that's also a part of it. Maybe if the author was able to finish the series and had his ending first, and then the show was able to just kind of follow that, I think a lot of things would have been done better in terms of the the fan perspective, because they would have known how it leads to. Well, one, they would have known the ending ahead of time, and two, they would have got all the details, I'm sure, of what they wanted, because the books go way past what the shows cover.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would have been why it would have been more satisfying. But because they went off the springboard and they didn't have anything to land on, it was kind of just like, it was like the creators' fan fiction version of the way the show wrapped up versus, I mean, even though the author has said it's like very similar, like some character storylines finish how he had in mind, some yes, some no, but overall it was like, I could see why that could be part of the disappointing season for many people, was more so of it became these two writers and maybe some others interpreting how it should end, and that's tough. I mean, that is tough. So understandable. I will say it's understandable. It's not like George R. Martin said, here's the book that I'm not published. That's not published yet. Read it and then you can finish it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I get it. I understand. But I think this show will probably still be able to get past this ending, and I think a lot of people will still appreciate it from its first 7 seasons, because a lot of it was really good, and it pushed the edge on television on like what you would see in TV in terms of story, because it did a lot of things. It had a lot of fantasy elements. It had a lot of spectacle that you would think, oh, that's a movie, or oh, that's only going to be in a movie. But this one really kind of almost threw away the term of TV budget, and like in that sense of like, I had a very few tough times really identifying it as a TV show. So I don't know. I feel like that's one of the great things about Game of Thrones is that this show managed to make you fall in love to some characters, but made you be interested in so many different characters in this overarch story about who's going to be, on the Iron Throne, and just do like a lot of emotional journeys and a lot of emotional feelings about some things happening. So I think that's probably what this show did so well. And I think that's probably what's going to keep its legacy going. I don't think this final season is going to have people be like, yeah, don't watch Game of Thrones. That was a weak show. I feel like people are...
Yeah, I don't think this season takes away from what the show has been doing over the past 7-8 years.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And, I think it's...
over time, people will be able to accept it. Accept it. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I think that, for the impact it's made on just like, the cultural phenomenon it became, it's like in and of itself is such a marvel because, this show it's like a specific, time period and it's definitely a lot of it on fantasy and I remember the first time it came out and I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like Lord of the Rings, and I just was not into that, story at all, and it seemed like that, so I was like, I definitely have no interest in this show, and and I think a lot of people like that's a particular type of kind of genre that people either love or are not into,
Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's not all this show was, and it was like for it to reach such a broad audience, and get so many different people interested in it and invested in it. It's like such a, in and of itself is such a like, achievement. So yeah, and I know so many people were unhappy with this season 8. But I think if you can't just, you have to remember, like there wasn't a book, there wasn't a blueprint for this. Like they had to, continue the story and continue these characters with what they had to work with prior to, and they tried to land the plane as best they could, and I don't think that it was, yes, the things could have been different, but like I said, I don't think that takes away from just the magic that this show was for so long.
Yeah, I mean all the twists and turns that got us,
and some of them were just like, man, I mean, and nobody, that what I loved about this show was nobody was safe, like I think we all learned that like season one when Ned Stark died, like
Khal Drogo,
and I thought that was a dream, or I thought like that didn't really happen, and then season 2 started, like no, he's really gone, like oh my god, and they were taking out some heavy hitters, like Joffrey died, like I mean just like I was like what, like no one was safe, and we've lost a lot of people along the way. We really did. But, I think that was one of the great things about this show, because it wasn't predictable, and there were twists and turns. The biggest twist to me was Jon Snow after, finding out that he was really Aegon Targaryen. Like that was, I remember the moment we found that out, like my mind was literally blown. I could not comprehend what we had just learned. And this show just every time, every twist and every turn was greater and bigger and grander. So, this show was just amazing. I can't believe it's over. It's insane.
I mean, I would say in retrospect, I feel like HBO or the writers, whoever made that final choice of 6 episodes should have gone to the standard 10. Like should have really gave it a little bit more of its legs. I would understand if it was like a movie special kind of, so to speak, like a TV movie special where it was just going to be like a good 2 hour and 20 minute, episode. But there was still so much that they had to cover that I feel like the additional 4 episodes would have given enough time for them to really explore King's Landing and why Daenerys was gonna, I guess, kill everyone and all those like little things that people felt was rushed, or like the Battle of Winterfell and how everyone was just like saying that it was too quick, and I mean, that whole episode was its own controversy. And then everyone was nitpicking on like all the things that they saw in this episode that was wrong. Mainly the Starbucks cup and and in this last episode, the water bottle that's very like barely visible. But I feel like I just feel like people wanted to bring it down, and it could be for different angles. It could be because their show is ending. It could be because they didn't like one of the decisions that were made for the characters, or they just felt like it wasn't what they wanted their version to be, or wasn't matching what they envisioned. So that I can see where it's like people have that kind of thing. But I was just like, ultimately the story makes sense on how it concludes.
Yeah.
Yes. When Bran was chosen for the Iron Throne, I think
that was so random. I think we all were like, "What?"
Yeah,
like, huh?
I
Bran?
mean, yes, it wasn't from a far perspective. It at first it's just like that sounds like it's a joke. That doesn't even sound like it's actually the real ending. But
I think that's what Game of Thrones has always done so well, was to throw a curveball at you that makes you go, "What?"
Yeah,
and then after it happens and they explain, Tyrion gives his whole spiel about why he's perfect for it, and then you go, that actually does make sense.
Right. It's like, it's acceptable. I mean, what else was he going to do? Like,
Jon Snow would have been, that would have been predictable. I wanted him to say Jon Snow, who has a better story than Jon Snow, which some would argue, like, Jon Snow had a better story than Bran. But I wasn't mad about Bran becoming
and even Sansa's story, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like for Jon Snow, he didn't want that title, so then it would also feel like he wasn't going to want it. So at some point, it just would have collapsed, because it would be exactly like Robert Baratheon. He didn't want to be king in that same way. Like, he was getting done with it. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this really was a fitting conclusion. Not the best conclusion. Not the as you said, like, not the best way to land. Like, it didn't land exactly where it was supposed to hit its mark, maybe, but it landed close enough.
Yeah, I think how we concluded all of the characters, I was content with, like the
Stark family.
The Stark family. Daenerys dying, that's pretty controversial. I always, and I said this from like season 3, 4, whatever. Like, I was like, she's gonna, because we knew her dad, he was the Mad King, and he went mad with power. So that wasn't a shock when we started to see her demise and started her kind of becoming this sort of tyrant. And especially towards the end of the episode, I figured that's how it was going to happen. And I knew either she's going to kill Jon and she's going to rule, and we're going to have her as this kind of tyrant, mad driven queen, or Jon is going to have to kill her because he's the true heir to the throne. Although Jon didn't take the throne because the throne got melted. But when he did kill her, I was like, I was content with that. And I know some people would argue, like, it makes sense why people were so upset by it, because her whole arc was her, she was the underdog, and she was, just trying to basically live up to her name, and she knew she was the rightful one to sit on the throne. So we were rooting for her, obviously, and and she overcame so much, like all the odds were stacked against her, but every time she rose above. So we wanted to root for her. So it was a little disappointing to see her kind of go through this demise and her kind of become like her father. But it was like, kind of like prophecy fulfilled. Like, it wasn't that big of a shock to me.
It was a tragic curve, I think. I think it started off strong as a heroic, like, she's going to make it out alive.
She's like emancipating all these slaves and, freeing all these people that are taken captive.
But it was like the more she got deep into close to becoming, queen, she was losing her resources, which was going to be natural in war. Like, in war, you're going to always lose the people close to you. Allies, soldiers, weapons, whatever. And so it was kind of just like that thing. And it kind of got to the point where she wasn't really able to handle it. Like, if she would have lost that last dragon, she probably would have, like, told the Unsullied to fight till they die, because she doesn't care. Like, she wouldn't make the right choices, I'm assuming. We didn't read the books. We didn't. We just saw, like, this rush, so we don't have time to really delve into, like, her decision and analyze them. But from what I took away was she was showing the signs that she does not have it to actually rule. like, yes, kind of in the same way, not to say in any negative light, but kind of in the same way that, at first you have that vision as a child that, I want to do this, but then as you get older, something like obviously it's case by case, but something clicks where you just say, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. I don't have that interest. The passion's not there. It's kind of very similar to that same way where it was like she was young when she was like, that's going to be what I do. And then she got older, like it's in the same way, like, college classes and all these things that come out, internships that really put the pressure on, like, do you want to do this? It kind of was showing like maybe being a queen isn't what you should be doing. Maybe you should look for something else. I don't know. That's how I kind of can see it as well.
Yeah.
But it was a great show.
It was.
It was a great binge.
It really was. I was really happy with how it ended, how the Stark family in particular. I mean, Bran becoming king, like we said, that was a curveball, but it made sense. It felt right. Tyrion being the hand, Bran, that was just great.
I felt like it was either going to be that or he just wanders off and just becomes a man.
But to lead a simple life or something, yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that, and he was imprisoned by Grey Worm. So I was like, I was happy with like, oh God, please don't kill him.
Grey Worm. Let's talk about Grey Worm. Oh my God.
It sucks. Triggered. It sucks. Grey Worm was like, I loved him for so long. And obviously when he lost Missandei, we were all like heartbroken, and we knew that he was just going to be like, F it, I don't care. But it sucked because it really made me, the finale made me dislike him in the finale. I won't say like that, cause I won't say I dislike his character and like F Grey Worm now. He still was a strong, solid character.
He needs to
go. But I understand he was like, he lost the love of his life. And then he lost the woman who set him free and gave him a new life. So it's like, I'm trying to see his side of it, but it was really irritating me when he was like, he's our prisoner. Jon Snow's our prisoner. We will do with him what we want. We'll make sure he serves, he gets justice. Like, I was like, who are you? Like, who gave you the authority? Like who are you to make these decisions? So it was
to me, yeah, I mean, off of exactly what you're saying, but on top of that, there was also the whole, you were trained as this like unemotional, unattached soldier and can, obviously reproduce, but for so long, and like in the last 2 years, I don't know what the timeline is of this movie. The show. I don't know if exactly each year that we wait is a year in the show. I don't know those kind of small details, but in the last 2 seasons, I will just say that you were then developing emotions and developing this, but I was like, I feel like you would, from all the other years, you wouldn't know as a soldier why decisions are made if you're not emotionally invested in people, if you're not, in yourself, in your own life. Like, you had this whole, like, I'm doing what my orders are because that's what I was trained, that's what I was put to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you should still be able to see from a different perspective of, like, I can see why, Daenerys is, made that wrong choice. Like, I don't know. I just feel like they just made him more of like, he's a character that lost his love of his life, therefore he's mad. I was like, I feel like that was kind of like a quick way to just kind of have him.
A quick way to villainize him.
Yeah. A quick way to also make him look like he is the bad guy as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I just feel like
it was
to go that long with no emotions, and all of a sudden,
you're just fueled by rage and hate now
and anger. Right? Yeah. I was like, let's be honest. You were bottling up that anger since you maybe couldn't reproduce anymore. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'd probably be that angry too if what happened to him happened to me. But yeah, that irritated me, and but I won't say I dislike Grey Worm. Like, he's still a strong character, and I think he was obviously an amazing soldier, and he did love Missandei, as we all did, and we felt bad when she died, but I'm glad there was compromise there, and the deal that Jon would go back to the wall, and that's what's, he would not kill him. So I was like, at least there's that. At least he had some, he was able to compromise. Right. But yeah, little did we know, Jon wasn't going back to the wall because Bran had set it up to where, what's his name?
Tolman,
something like that. The big guy, him, he
the wildling.
Yeah, wildling. He basically intercepted John to rule over the wildlings, and we didn't catch that at first in the episode. We thought they all were sentenced to the wall. Like, I was like, what did he do to get sent back to the wall? Like, why is he here? I know,
like, why did he chill?
I didn't take it as
the last thing was he was going to go just
north, just keep going north
with Ghost.
Yeah. So to see him at the wall, I was like, what's he doing here? I was like, he must have messed up bad to get sentenced here. But no, he was there to get John and be like, you're ruling over the wildlings. Like, you're the king of the wildlings now.
Of the free folk.
Of the free folk. So, like, I was like, yes. Like, that was great. Loved it. Like, I couldn't have... I mean... I wanted him to sit on the throne, but it's like he didn't want it. So if he said it multiple times, I don't want it, and he really, I'm sure, did not. He would have been the rightful ruler, and I think he would have ruled with honor and validity, and he wouldn't have let it kind of turn him the way I think Daenerys kind of let it turn her,
or Cersei,
or anybody who kind of went mad with power. I think he would have been able to maintain his righteousness, but. Other than him sitting on the throne, I was happy with this ending. And he got to connect with Ghost, with his friends, with his wildlings. So I was content with that. Arya wanting to head west beyond Westeros and go venture and explore the new world. And I like that they kept her story kind of from the beginning too. Like, she never wanted to be a lady. She never wanted to be sitting in, on a throne, like, people bowing to her and her, like, wearing pretty gown. Like, she was like, I'm an adventurer. I want to fight. I want to be in battle. I want to explore from episode 1. And I love that they stayed true to that, and that for a long time, for a large portion of the series, it seemed like she was always just searching and training and trying to move forward, and it didn't always seem like she was happy or content. But in the last shot of her on that ship sailing west to find out what was beyond Westeros, she really seemed happy and excited, and that made me really happy for her. I loved that. I loved how we concluded her character. And then Sansa, that came full circle. She's Queen of the North, like, and she always wanted to be queen. And I love that she kind of got to do that without having to bend the knee, without having to compromise her or her people, and without having to be anyone's, like, having to marry any. She had to, in the show she married twice, but forcefully, but she's like, I'm not married and I'm the queen. I'm the HBIC up in Winterfell. So, I couldn't have asked for that to go any better either.
Yeah.
Long may she reign.
It's like a few amount of characters that maybe didn't have the best ending. I think that's probably the best way. But for the most part, yeah, that's why I think we both are on the same page. Overall, it's a satisfying conclusion to the series, not just to the season, not just to the episode, but to the show.
And even everyone that is now, got a seat at the table, like, Bran and Brienne and Sam and Bronn, and what did I say? I said Bran, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Bran's the king, but right. I meant to say Bronn. Yeah, Bronn and Brienne and Sam and I was like, yes, like, I was, and then Podrick's all up in there, doing something, I guess, pushing Bran around,
right?
I guess, but that's cool because it's like, they're all really likable characters, even though Bronn was like got douchey in this last season, but he was
on
like,
the wrong side.
He was just on the wrong side, but he was just he was just doing what he had to do,
right?
So we can forgive him for that, but it's like I'm glad that
because he never killed. He didn't kill Jaime and Tyrion, so it's like it makes sense.
Yeah, but I think I was very satisfied with how it ended. So I think all the negative Nancys just need to realize that it could have ended a lot worse or a lot differently. Maybe they wouldn't have liked that ending as well. So I think we should just accept what we got. I was content.
Yeah, at this point, they're not doing a whole another season 8 remake. So
yeah, stop signing the petition.
Right, that's crazy. That's got like 1 million, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. But overall the series is just so many great moments, so many great characters. I'm sure like you can mention one specific scene or one season and this happened in that season, and it can be a conversation. You can easily talk about this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely an amazing show. If you haven't had the chance to watch it, go watch it. It's lengthy. It's a binge watch show, but
what do you think the most shocking scene was from this whole? Let's just play a little quick lightning round. Most shocking scene from the series. It's coming. It's since we're concluding.
I mean,
I'll go first. One of the scenes that shocked me the hell out of me was when after everybody died in King's Landing because Cersei used the wildfire to blow them up.
Season 6 finale was the best in my opinion. But my favorite.
What was her son's name? Tommen?
Yes.
When he jumped out the window?
That was
one of the most shocking. Like, I just wasn't expecting it, and he just full on just committed suicide because his wife died. I was like, that got me. Obviously, Jon Snow finding out that he's Aegon Targaryen, that was the biggest one, but I had already mentioned it, so I wanted to say something else.
And it's tough because a part of it, we didn't get to see this live in that sense where when Jon Snow died, many people were like, did they just kill Jon Snow? We didn't really get that.
That's true. We didn't have to wait for months on end.
Nor did we really believe it because promotions and all that.
Yeah, and I had accidentally saw it online, so I was like, dang it! I just ruined that surprise for myself.
Yeah. So I feel like that's also robbed. So there's some things that's kind of tough to say. It probably would have been a great moment. I don't know. The one that comes most recent, and that in terms of that, I was just like, did not see it coming. Was the Night King dying by Arya? Like the way she just came out. Like at this point, I was like,
because we had forgotten about her.
Kinda. Yeah, he's gonna do something. He's gonna he just killed. What's his name? Theon.
Yeah.
So it was like he's gonna kill Bran, or he's gonna like manipulate Bran to do something evil. He's gonna be like worst case scenario. And then she comes out of nowhere and goes for the kill and gets it.
Yep.
I think also I feel like the moments with the dragons, I think a lot of them were surprising. I think that kind of had a lot of good moments. It's tough to really, because I'm really trying to like recap. I mean, a lot of the season 6 finale was just so much, and I honestly like that season finale the best out of all the seasons.
That was a really
Ned
good
Stark
one.
losing his head, and that was one that was like, I had seen the first season. And so I was like aware of it, but when I first saw it, I was also just like, did they just really just kill the main character? Like, can you really do that?
Are you I was like, are you allowed to do that?
Right, exactly.
Like, that's an option?
Isn't he supposed to be the face of the franchise? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That it's tough.
One thing you wish you had seen in the season finale, in the series finale, that you didn't see, or one thing you wish they had done differently, big or small.
Do you have one?
I wish that they had shown the dragon trying to burn Jon so that we could have seen that he wouldn't burn.
That has been brought up, but I
still haven't
thought
seen
about that.
And that's been a theory for so long, and we never got to test that theory.
But I've thought about that, and I was just like, but he's only half, and so the possibility that it.
But I felt like they kept poking at it, like in that one episode when the. Maybe it was episode 3 or something when it looked like the dragon was going to set him on fire, but then
for sure. I mean, they felt like there was going to be a tease there, but
I wish we could have just seen it and he didn't get burned.
And what if he died? If he died,
then that would suck. I'd be like, then they shouldn't have done it. So maybe that's why they didn't do it. But I would have liked to have seen that.
I just took it as the dragon's fire may have done actual damage to Jon. Maybe not kill him, but it would have left him in someone different who he wasn't before. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, yes, I thought I was going to get that and I would have wanted that. But I would say, I don't know if there's anything particular that Ghost is MVP. Should have done something. Should have had an epic moment. I'm glad he touched his owner. Like, he got to communicate with him. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything that was... I mean, if we're just saying, just for the finale, killing Greyjoy somehow...
You would have wanted him to die?
Yeah.
You'd have been content with that?
Like,
okay.
I would have been fine.
I could see that. I would have probably been content with it too, because it was.
I would have been fine
off.
with like him telling the Unsullied like we're leaving to whatever island they were going, and someone's looking from afar, and then and the explosion, and they died. I'm like, yes.
Dang.
No
sympathy.
He was the last one on my list. I had something like Arya's list. He was the last one that was on my list. He needed to go. So I guess that was it. But,
okay.
I mean, it's tough. We're not going to give like a rating because it's not possible to really do. You have to break it down episode, season.
Yeah, there's too many factors that would to try to just output one score. It's too complicated.
For sure. So instead of just doing that, we'll just give our lasting thoughts. It was a great show. You should watch it. Everyone should watch
check it out.
For sure. That's for sure. That's the rating. Thumbs up, watch it.
I think it's definitely a watchable show. I think Ruben should watch it.
He is. What are you talking about? He's committed to it. He knows the spoilers, but he's committed to it.
It's okay. Just pretend you didn't hear anything. He probably doesn't even know what we're talking about. All these names and people.
Right. And we there's a lot of things we didn't talk about, but yeah, that's how big this like.
I mean, this would be like a 4-hour discussion if we talked about every single.
I mean, and I know there are some people that would be down for it.
Yeah, for real, seriously.
Look, let's go. It's 4-hour conversation. I'm down. But in a fitting way, this show has ended, and there is something else that's ending that we are announcing as well. Thanks for the background noise. The Reel-ists podcast will be also concluding its run. It did not get picked up for additional episodes, just to go off of a TV kind of.
Did not get renewed.
It did not get renewed, right? It will be ending our episode on 150, which is going to be Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So that will be the final week, I believe. Well, the final episode will be on the first week of June. I don't know what the Thursday is of that, but yes, different factors went into this, but it's just one of these moments where it was a kind of a choice that felt best. So
yeah, it's bittersweet.
It is. The 6th of June. Yes. Be there live.
Our live finale. Our live series
we'll
finale.
We'll be in Santa Ana at Costa Mesa Plaza. South Coast Plaza. No, but yeah, so that's it's a bittersweet for sure. It's something that, we've been doing for a year and a half. It's pretty awesome. It was definitely an experience. It's going on our broadcasting resumes. I don't think we have one, but if we have one, we could kind of put that. I don't know. You can put something on this.
I'd say so.
Right? Reel-ists podcast, communication skills. I don't know.
Something. If anything, just shows that we were committed for a year and a half.
Right. Someone asked, what's a fun fact about us? Oh, we had a podcast, I guess. But yeah, so we won't go into like the thank yous in this episode.
Yeah,
just
we'll
more
save
of like
that
the
for
announcement.
Yeah. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it is coming.
Yes. So,
but we got a few more episodes before that.
Exactly. A lot more movies to still cover.
Yeah.
But we just want to also do it a little different in this one because Game of Thrones was very big. It's equivalent to a blockbuster, a summer blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
It's talked about, trends on Twitter, so we watched it. Only felt like it was a natural fit to, we're confident as many people watch the show and listen to our podcast. So hopefully you do and watch the show, and we didn't get you in the episode where you're just like, I don't watch the show. Ruben.
I doubt it.
Ruben,
there's more watchers than more non-watchers, I'd say. Ruben's just like an outlier.
he's a wildling. But yeah, so that's going to be our episode on Game of Thrones. Hopefully you enjoyed this special episode. Let us know what you thought on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Team Reel-ists. That's Team REELISTS, no dash. But thank you again for tuning into the episode, and thank everyone to listen. Until next time.
See you next time.